Hey, what's up, guys? Jag from Jaggy Sports here. It is April the 21st, 2022. So here's the deal. Basically, last night I saw unbelievable play, just like everybody else. Doc Rivers called us a timeout and he storms out in half court. I was just thinking, why doesn't he call a timeout right away? But he called a timeout. I think it was like 2 point something seconds left. I can't remember. But he calls a timeout and he draws up an unbelievable play. Why am I saying unbelievable play? Because I used to play ball and our coach did the exact same play, and it was just a phenomenal, fundamental basketball play. So right when I saw that and Joel hit that damn three, it was just icing on the cake. This series is over. It is a sweep, just like Joel said to Drake. In case you guys missed it, I'm gonna run this play back to you guys. Watch this clip, and we'll just talk about it after.
How far can Embiid carry this Sixer squad?
He's an MVP. You can carry him all the way to the finals and win this thing. Philadelphia is good enough, particularly with the emergence of Maxey. And Stephen A knows, this is one place I'm going to pat myself on the back because I've been talking about Maxey all season. And his emergence as a two-way, I'm not going to say star yet, because you have to complete at least one playoff season to me to sort of be mentioned as a star. But Maxey's on his way playing like this. And I think that takes a lot of pressure off Harden. Harden didn't have to average 40. Harden just has to be an all-star now, not a Hall of Famer every single night. And he can, of course, still be that. But Embiid leads the way. This is why he got both of us, he got both our votes for MVP. As great as Joker was, as great as Antetokounmpo was, Embiid is the guy that I thought would play like this in the playoffs, and he is. And, of course, it's a regular season award. But I think we're seeing that now validated, if you will. So Philly can do this. They have everything at their disposal, to me right now, to compete. Boston's going to be a tough out if they advance. Miami, Milwaukee, these teams, and Milwaukee's struggling already. Philadelphia is the team that hasn't had to struggle. But if that shot doesn't go in and Toronto holds on to that lead, at 2-1, we would be saying Philadelphia's in a struggle. Nobody has great room for error. The margin is small for everybody, but I like where Philly's going.
I just think it's important, first things first, Wilbon. The Philadelphia 76ers advanced to the second round. Miami would have home court advantage. That would mean there's about 4 nights prior to the game that you're in Miami, a.k.a. South Beach. I think this is very important. I think this is very important to point out. It's going to require focus, okay? You can't have distractions, all right? All right, James Harden, you got to stay focused. You got to stay focused, which is very, very difficult to do in South Beach. Let me just throw that out there. Now, having said all of that.
Stephen A., wait. Stephen A., let me interrupt you for a second to tell a quick story about from your friend and mine, B.J. Armstrong, who has one of the great lines of all time describing this. And B.J. says, before you decide who you're going to pick to win a series, you better figure out who in that series can play without sleep. And I know it's meant to be a funny line, but it's true, the distractions of the road in particular cities, including one of your favorite cities, Miami.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Who can play without sleep in this league? It's such a funny line, but it's telling.
It's important. It's important. You know what I'm saying? I know Doc Rivers going to try hard. You know, I know he's going to try hard. But Doc Rivers smart enough to know he can pull for so much off. Not South Beach. All right? It's a problem. So now that you have that going on, now we get to the basketball court. Maxey and his evolution is something to pay attention to, no doubt about it. But consider what Miami has in its arsenal. Consider the Jimmy Butler, who just dropped 45. Consider the athleticism and mobility of a Bam Adebayo. Consider the shooting of the Duncan Robinsons and the Tyler Heroes of the world. Consider the experience of a Kyle Lowry and a P.J. Tucker of the world. Miami's got, and they got some young brothers that they've developed nicely. And so when you look at it from that perspective, even though I wouldn't be surprised that if the Sixers were to beat Miami, assuming because we think that Miami's going to beat Atlanta and we know Philadelphia is going to beat Toronto, assuming that that's the series, I'm of the mindset Philadelphia can beat them, but they wouldn't be the favorites. I would be picking Miami to win that series. I really, really would because, listen, I think it's one of those situations where it's going to be tough and Embiid's going to show up. I have no doubt. But I think quite a few people are going to show up for Miami. And collectively, they might be a bit too much unless Harden becomes just a little bit more Houston rather than what he's been. Listen, Maxey can give you your points, and I get all that. Tobias Harris, I'm not ignoring his contribution and how pivotal he will be. But I think that James Harden with 19 points and 6 or 8 assists, that ain't going to cut it in that series against Miami. He's going to need to do more.
But you know what Philly has, though, Stephen A. I think you'll agree with this. They got the best player in the series. You're right about I agree with everything you said about Miami. And yes, they would be a slight favorite, I think, going into that. But Stephen A., if Joel Embiid continues to play the way we saw him in the second half of the season and the way he's played so far in this series, he has been dominant. He would be the best player in that series. And I think the confidence that would have to come from his teammates would really help Philadelphia, particularly early in that series, if they can get, a steal win in Miami in one of those first two games and come home. But that would be a series worth watching. Yes, we presume we're going to see it. But, man, Embiid last night and the way he's been going and talking to Nick Nurse and the confidence he is just brimming with. We know the game is there. Talk about galvanized, right? We talked about that with KD. Right. Can he do that with his? Embiid is doing that. We can see it. We can hear it. You can feel it.
I can. That's why we both voted for him MVP. With all that he had to go through and still perform the way that he performed this year, there's no question about it. And that's probably why Doc Rivers called this number last night, because he wanted to remind the world that this dude is the MVP, even though the vote was already in. But let me bring this up again, one last time. James Harden in South Beach. I'm concerned. I'm concerned.
Oh.
Okay. Now, so what I would strongly advise is that he calls Allen Iverson. I sat up there covering Allen Iverson, Molly, Wilbon. Wilbon will remember this. Allen Iverson goes through a 10-game slump. He's just shooting awful. I can't hit the backside of a barn. Nothing is working and all of this other stuff. You know why? Because that brother sat up there and said, you know what, I'm tired of Larry Brown getting on my nerves, and I'm going to go home, early and go to bed early and sleep one time and be that little choir boy. And he played like trash. And then he said enough, and then hung out all night one night, and the next day, he dropped 58. On Steve Francis and Coutinho Mobley and those boys. So that's who Harden needs to talk to before the Miami series.
So, unbelievable play. Awesome play. They're clearly going to beat Toronto Raptors in 4, but on the other side, you have Miami Heat. Miami Heat could push Atlanta to 3-0 tonight and could beat the sweep the Atlanta Hawks 4-0. And then that would mean Miami Heat would have to take on the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, I was watching ESPN First Take, and they asked everybody, Michael Wilbon, Stephen A. Smith, they asked them, who do you have coming out of this series? Miami Heat or the Philadelphia 76ers? And everybody said Miami Heat. I like the Miami Heat. I 100% do. And originally I picked them coming out of the East to get to the finals. And, we still have to talk about Boston. But right now, for this segment, we're going to talk about Miami Heat taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, I don't know what the regular season matchup was. I don't really care because it's the playoffs. It's a whole different beast. But I want to hear from you guys. Who will win this matchup? Miami Heat or the Philadelphia 76ers? And it could go either way. We don't know because Joel Embiid is playing out of his mind. Miami Heat has got a great roster. But then again, so do the Philadelphia 76ers. So This one is a tough call. So I'm asking you guys, who do you got coming out of this potential series matchup, which is guaranteed, almost guaranteed to happen? Who do you guys got coming out of this matchup? Philadelphia 76ers or the Miami Heat? Leave a comment in the comment section. Till next time, this is Jag from Jaggy Sports.